Here's a huge one. Recent studies of quasars have shown them to be devoid of all effects of time dilation. This This is a big falsifier right here. Supposedly time dilation was proven in supernovas, but then when they went and they looked at quasars, which should exhibit the same effects of space, they find that quasars are completely devoid of time dilation effects. This is a major falsifying observation of Einstein's theories. It's tantamount to a bullet in them. There really is nothing left here for Einstein after this observation. So that's 7. Here's some interesting facts about black holes themselves. Black holes themselves have been falsified time and time again by physicists who have looked at black hole physics. What you have is the equations put forth that were supposedly the Schwarzschild radius that supposedly gives you the derivation of black holes, the outer edge of a black hole, was never actually written by Carl Schwarzschild. In fact, Schwarzschild and Einstein themselves both did not believe in black holes. So here we have the two founding fathers of Einsteinian relativity saying flat out and writing papers proving as much that black holes, as postulated today, are an impossibility according to Einstein's own theories. Special relativity forbids infinite point mass particles, and Schwarzschild's equation that his paper from which black holes are supposedly derived is where we get the Schwarzschild radius, a term you may have heard thrown around. The original paper was where Schwarzschild showed how Einstein's version of relativity could account for the observed movement of Mercury around the Sun. In that paper, Schwarzschild used equations that were regular in all of space-time. This absolutely forbids infinite point mass particles from forming. It forbids black holes from forming. That paper, the way Carl Schwarzschild wrote it, which you can download from my blog if you care to poke through it, it shows emphatically that black holes cannot exist according to Einstein's theories of relativity. There was a man named David Hilbert that performed an erroneous derivation of Einstein's field equations, and this is where black hole physics come from. And the equations of Hilbert have been proven to be erroneous time and time again. And in fact, you'll see papers published that supposedly show, oh well, Schwarzschild, we recognize now that Schwarzschild didn't actually come up with the Schwarzschild radius. However, this equation done by Hilbert, we know that that Einstein's equations can be derived several different ways, and one of the ways that they were derived was by a man named Hilbert, and we recognize his contribution, Hilbert's contribution to promoting black hole physics. But what you won't see is Hilbert's actual derivation broken down step by step, explaining why everything is correct, because it's not correct. It blatantly violates Einstein's version of relativity. Further, a man named McVitie, I believe, broke down the fact that in the universe, these mathematical universes that mathematicians construct to explain the universe and gravity, that when they concoct these formulations of black holes, they are only, according to Einstein's theories, if they want to try to even be true to the corruption of Hilbert, are only allowed to have one black hole per universe. So there are no solutions to Einstein's field equations that exist, none, including the corrupted Hilbert version of Einsteinian relativity, that support or show more than one black hole could possibly exist in an entire universe. The problems with black holes go on and on and on, and none of this is being made up. You can review these documents for yourselves. Simply Google them or go to my blog, and I have reference links to all of the actual papers for you to peruse. So that's 8 direct falsifying observations of Einsteinian relativity. I'd like to move on to neutron stars. These stars also violate Einsteinian relativity. Well, they don't violate Einsteinian relativity so much as they violate the known laws of physics. Neutron stars have been observed to rotate around at close to 1200 hertz. And that works out to somewhere around 66,000 revolutions per minute. So scientists are telling us that a star out there is spinning around on its axis 66,000 times per minute. Now, any rational person thinking about this would say that's a load of horseshit. There's no way a star could possibly spin around that fast and still hold itself together. In fact, I'm not even sure anything could spin around that fast and still hold itself together. If you think about it, the outer edges of the star would be rapidly approaching because they're moving faster than the actual interior core of the star. The outer edges of the star would be moving at appreciable speeds of light. Prior to this discovery of the 1200 hertz whopper, scientists had said that 750 hertz was the fastest a neutron star, according to Einsteinian relativity, could possibly rotate before it blew up. So, if out of all the neutrons, Einstein's theories of relativity tell us that if we see a star, stars cannot rotate faster than 750 hertz because they'll rip themselves apart and blow up. And this was the standing theory of pulsars prior to the discovery of the 1200 hertz whopper. So obviously, scientists looking out in space, they see 1200 hertz pulses coming from an object out there. Well, what can they do? This is direct falsifying observational evidence of Einstein's theories. So they had to concoct all manner of craziness. And again, as I said earlier, Einstein's theories cannot be falsified. They are not falsifiable. They're not real science. They redrew all of their theories, and now they say, well, now 1500 hertz is the maximum rate pulsars can rotate before they tear themselves apart. And I'm sure if we were to find an 1800 hertz pulsar, they would revise their theories again and say, oh, well, they can really rotate at, 6,000 hertz, whatever. It doesn't really matter because there's no science behind any of it. This is a direct falsifying observation of Einstein's theories. Stars cannot rotate on their axis at 66,000 times per minute. Only an idiot, a true, absolute idiot, would believe that. But scientists say that, and they're pushing it on the public as if this is gospel. So here's another direct piece of falsifying evidence against Einstein's version of relativity. And I'm not making any of these points up. All of this is backed up, verifiable. You can Google all of it and pull up the actual research from the physicists and research centers bringing this to you. In fact, there's just so much. I'm probably going to cover more in another video set here. I could go on and on and on and on with direct falsifying observations of Einstein's version of relativity.